Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we are looking at A.X.E. Judgment Day Issue 1. This is a 2022 miniseries from Marvel Comics written by Kieron Gillen, Valerio Schiti, artist, Marte Garcia, color artist, VC's Clayton, Cowles, letterer, Martin Biro, assistant editor, Annalise Bissa, associate editor, Tom Brevoort, editor. Okay, so we have the Avengers, X-Men, and Eternals facing off. It's mostly Eternals versus X-Men. Human beings have discovered that the X-Men are able to resurrect people, but of course the mutants are keeping that secret for themselves. And it's really shows the bias at Marvel that a lot of the characters are so arrogant that Scott even says that we're still the X-Men protecting them, but they always hate and fear. Yeah, because you don't die. Of course they're afraid of that and they're jealous of that. Well, they even have Jean read somebody's mind, which is invasive mental rape, I would think. And she says, "How many times have you come back? My daughter is still dead." And Scott says, "We can't bring everyone back, even if we wanted to." So they don't give a crap about humans. They're just dirty peasants, right? And most of all, it's not as if everyone has stopped killing mutants, he said. Excuse me, but you've been mentally raping people? Example, X-Men Fantastic Four issue 4, where Charles Xavier rips out part of Reed Richards' mind so he can't build a specific device that they don't like. Or the fact that Wolverine killed several people in the same miniseries on Dr. Doom's Island. Yeah, they don't run around killing people. No, not at all. Sabretooth even killed someone early on in the Krakoa saga. Yeah, they threatened to throw him into this pit of blackness or whatever, but he didn't stay in there. Then there was the girl with the weird moose antlers who killed some random store manager and was again thrown in this pit thing only to be let out immediately. So that's pretty hypocritical and very, very insulting. They kill humans pretty regular. They have a lot of evil villains on their team. Why would anyone trust the X-Men, especially when they can now resurrect whoever they want? And they do throughout this issue. The Eternals, meanwhile, have a similar problem. They're immortal as well, but every time they come back, a human dies. And the Eternals do come off as kind of arrogant. Cersei gets caught by the Avengers, and she doesn't seem to know what's actually going on because her, Icarus, and several others have broken off from the main Eternals, and they aren't aware of what General Droog is doing. Droog, for his part, is creating a war against the X-Men because he sees them as excessive deviants. So he unleashes Uranos the Undying, who might be Thanos' grandfather. It's a little unclear, but he gets sent to Mars while the initial attack on Krakoa occurs with the Unimind, and it distracts the Krakoans long enough for Uros to get up to Mars and eliminate just about everybody up there. While the Eternals do target the Five, it's unsuccessful because there's still apparently enough of them to resurrect a few people because that egg guy dropped some eggs before he got dropped. So no real damage done to the X-Men because they can resurrect everybody that's been killed. But the Eternals aren't done. They unleash these giant war machines called Hex. They are Eternals of some kind, and they're kind of weird looking. And the Avengers are very unhappy about all of this, so they're assembling to try and prevent a catastrophe. Meanwhile, of course, there are other machinations that I talked about briefly in Eve of Judgment that are probably going to be just as horrific. Overall, this was actually a pretty decent issue. The arrogance of both the Eternals and X-Men is on full display. The Eternals led by Droog. There are other ones that aren't necessarily on board with this because they're not a team, as it's pointed out in the book. They are a society, but they are controlled by these programs that are forcing them to eliminate deviations. So if they think something's a deviation, they have to take care of it. So we have the X-Men who are arrogant and think they are better than normal humans and are hoarding many things to themselves and effectively bullying everyone, terraforming other planets and not letting anyone aboard, that sort of thing. We see the hubris there, but we also see the hubris of a lot of the Eternals and how they think they should get to make these decisions. And Droog is, of course, not a very good person, and we've known that for a long time. And now that he's in charge of the Eternals, he is going to lead them on a war footing for his own personal gain. And the Avengers are definitely stuck in the middle and probably going to have to fight both of them. The only people I'm really rooting for here are the Avengers. This was actually a pretty interesting read. The art's okay. I didn't have a problem with it. Didn't love it, didn't hate it. Colorist did a real good job. But I think the storyline is really about a lot of characters I don't like. I think the Eternals are kind of lame New Gods knockoffs, and this is probably the best written I've ever seen them. And the X-Men have become supervillains that think they're heroes. They think they're doing the right thing, but their arrogance is astonishing. And they have no interest in helping humanity at all, or even working with them. They see them as lesser beings and pawns. So their sense of arrogance and domination have led them to this. So overall, we'll see how it plays out, but I think Marvel really does tend to favor and coddle the X-Men. I don't think a lot of Marvel Marvel writers are willing to recognize that the X-Men are incredibly arrogant now, and they have become the villains they used to claim they were protecting humans from. So we'll see how it goes. I'll pick up issue 2. I don't think it's worth the cover price. I think $6 was pretty expensive considering how cheap the paper feels, and the fact that it was really barely longer than a regular comic should be. But most of Marvel comics are only 20 pages now, so that's not too surprising. But $6 is a bit high, and I suspect that they're going to have a really lame ending on this, and it's not going to be all that earth-shattering. They're not even going to strip the X-Men of anything, I don't think. I think we're going to see the usual Marvel playing favorites with their beloved X-Men who are now supervillains, because they can do no wrong in the eyes of most of these Marvel writers. So I'm willing to pick up the next issue, but beyond that, I don't think I'm going to make it through the whole miniseries. I don't think it's going to be that good. So if you can find this cheaper than the $6 cover price, I'd say check it out. It might be for you more than me, but it was just decent. Above mediocre, but not great. That'll do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods. And as always, we hope to see you on the next one.